So, hello, I guess the network issue is solved now and we can go ahead. So, just quickly let me see if our author is here and we'll just join him. We'll send a request. So that's a glitch that we all are facing. Guys, if you can tell me on the comment, is the video working on well? Am I audible to you all? So we have Anil, Neha and Prachi with us. Neha says yes, I am audible and the video is clear. Prachi says yes. So we'll just wait for our author. I don't know why, due to some issue, Satyarth is not able to join us. Okay, Anil also says that it's audible and video is also going smooth. So let's see.
I guess internet problem at that side.
Satyat, can you try sending us the request? Yes, here it is.
Hello? Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes. Now you're audible.
Yes, yes, and so are you, and very much visible and much better than what it was.
Yes, yes. So we'll quickly start once again from the rewind
Okay,
so that the new
yeah,
viewers who has joined us will get an idea what we are doing.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we
sure.
are in talks with Satyarth Nayak, and he has been author, scriptwriter, journalist. He has done his masters in English literature from St. Stephen College, Delhi, and he has a passion for writing. He was a correspondent in CNN IBN, and he was awarded Scar Heel Honor in 2008 for his health reportings. Also, his first novel, his debut novel, The Emperor's Riddles, were a big hit at Delhi World Book Fair in 2014. And today we are talking about another hit, which is Mahagatha, the 100 Tales of Purana with him. In that, the first,
Which I can
the
see right
origin.
behind you.
Yes, it's here. And it's lovely. It's a lovely book to hold and to read as well.
Thank you, thank you.
So just moving on to questions quickly now. My very first question, we discussed this earlier, but still the new viewers and the internet lagged, made us do this again. So we'll restart it
Yeah.
again. My very first question, Satya, to you is, what inspired you to write a book in this genre of mythology, 100 Tales of Purana, and how did you research for it?
I think this book comes from my core love for mythology. It really it stems from that actually. I think like so many Indians, I have also grown up reading, hearing, and loving mythology. My grandfather was that person in my life. I remember, sitting on his lap and listening to so many stories as a child from the Puranas. So I think my deep love for mytho really comes from there. I think I remember that was such a wonderful process of osmosis for me, just sucking up all those stories, about gods and goddesses and demons and sages and kings. I mean, what a fascinating world to be a part of. And
True.
then once you grow up, you want to explore it further. So I did exactly that. I entered this universe of Puranas, and it was staggering, just to see the kind of writing,
Yes.
the
Yes.
sheer spectacle, the larger than life imagery, and everything was staggering about it. So I think I deep dived into this ocean of Puranas, and I've come out with 100 pearls. That is how I would like to describe Mahagatha. The research was exactly that, reading the Puranas. It took me 5 years to finally put the book together. Because we have
Okay.
36 Puranas, there are 18 Mahapuranas
Yes.
and 18 Upapuranas. And so whatever was available in English translation, I read all those Puranas, and from there I've collected these 100 stories.
Amazing.
It took 5 years and a lot of work and a lot of research, but that never felt like a chore. For me it was
Yes.
just a wonderful, joyous journey. That every day discovering a new story, discovering a new wisdom that the Puranas would impart. I think it was
Very
a
true.
wonderful process. The entire journey was absolutely joyous. And now when I get the feedback from readers that they are having the same kind of joy reading those stories,
Yes.
I think those 5 years were very, very well spent.
Worth
So
it.
I'm very happy that way.
Very true. Like even when I received your book and when I started reading, I was with the mindset that being brought up in a Hindu family where these mythology stories are part of everyday life, I know
Yeah, yeah.
everything. What this book will tell me new. That was the very first curiosity. And your book did not disappoint me. There are 25 to 30 stories which are new to me as well. So those are simply amazing. How I guess we lost again. I can see Satya's screen frozen.
Yes, we lost him again. So as you can see the book behind me, it has a lovely cover, and it's super exciting to read the book. The review has been posted on my page, so you can get the review there, and it is an amazing book. And the book cover reminds me that today we are having this live on the auspicious day of Mahashivratri. So wishing everybody out there a very, very, very happy Mahashivratri. Let's see if we can find again Satyarth. No luck, I suppose. Okay, we have him back. Let's see. No, he is unable to join. I don't know why.
Hello? Yeah.
Hello again.
Yes.
I think we are having issues today.
Today, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So let's continue.
So,
Well, maybe we
yes,
can just
yes,
keep
yes.
continuing with the questions. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So, I was asking you that as Indian mythology is huge, how did you selected and shortlisted these stories? The,
So
yeah, please.
yeah. So I basically had a three-pronged criteria. First of all, for me, it was important that the story had to be interesting enough. That was the most important thing.
True.
It had to be something that fascinated me, something that lingered with me, stayed with me for a very long time, and something that imparted a beautiful wisdom. So the story had to be interesting, period. That was the most important criteria, for the story to make it to the book. Secondly, also who really were the entities involved in the story, who were the gods and goddesses, the demons, who were the characters, that also was very important for me. And also thirdly, if the story was a lesser known story, an unheard story that deserved a wider audience, that really needed to be put out there for the world to discover this story and really lap it up and, revel in the glory of that story. That was very important. Like I remember a lot of people are telling me that they have loved the story of Swaha. They've never heard the
Yes.
story of Swaha and Agni before. So stories like those that we have never heard before, but they are so rich and meaningful. So putting those
True.
out also was very important for me. So these three steps actually were the three filters through which all the stories pass. So finally, these 100 stories have, made it to the final list.
Yes. And these are really amazing. Like, I knew Naraji's curse to Lord Narayan, where he
Yeah,
had to take the avatar of Ram because of that curse.
yeah.
But I did not knew the curse of Naraji to Lord Brahma, and
Hmm,
where
hmm.
he got
Yeah,
behind his own daughter, and then that
yes.
Brahmini, the name changed to Shatrupa.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
amazing for me to learn that okay, this was the process, or this was the thing that we generally don't know.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. There's so much information, so much wisdom in the Puranas that still hasn't been
Yes,
explored. So I was very fortunate and what I put out is also just a fraction of that. There's still so much more
true.
that if I go back, I'm sure there are 10 more books waiting to be written if I actually want to fill in the Puranas. So it's a never-ending journey and a world that
Yes,
just keeps surprising you and just keeps enriching you every time you read that. So that's the kind of heritage we have, and we should be very lucky and fortunate that we have that kind of
yes,
heritage, to in our country. So yeah, that
very
we
true,
should really be proud of
very
that.
true.
Yeah,
Yes. So moving on to my next question.
yeah.
What challenges you faced or difficulties you faced while writing the book?
Like I
One
said,
was
this was a very
like
joyous.
shortlisting,
Yeah,
yes, shortlisting it down, but
yeah,
other
yeah.
than that, what it was?
Sure. No, what I was saying is that it has been such a joyous process for me. So I don't really remember ever thinking of something as a challenge. It was like I said, it was a very fascinating process, just putting these stories out. I
Yes,
enjoyed every bit of this journey. But if I really have to think hard and say something, then I think for me, what I was very careful about was the need to really present these stories with the kind of reverence and respect that they deserved. That for me was very important
yes,
because I knew that the material that I was presenting was, like I said, a part of our history, our culture, our heritage. So it needed to be given that sort of reverence, that sort of respect. It had to be nurtured and put across in a way that I'm respectful to the material. It was important that I do not spoil the soul of the stories. That for me was very
true.
important. So while I might have taken a dramatic liberty here and there as a narrator, as a writer, you do take creative liberties here and there.
Yes,
But for me, it was very important that the soul, the purity of the stories, that remains untouched, that remains unvarnished and untainted.
yes,
So that I think that if at all that was something I was very conscious about, that I'm presenting something so ancient and so venerable to a younger and a newer audience. So it was important for me that as a conduit, I do that with utmost respect and present the story
True.
in all its glory, maybe change it here and there, but ultimately preserve the soul and the wisdom
A
that the story
sense,
is telling you.
yes.
So that I think was something I really wanted to do. That I think to some extent the kind of reviews the book is getting, I have achieved that, to a large
You
extent.
have done it in an amazing manner, I can say that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, can you share one story? I know this is something very difficult, but just
Yeah.
one story from the book which amazed you. Well, there are many, but we just want one.
See, now I'll have to think because there are, like you said, every story is so wonderful.
Yes,
So which one can I think of that, why don't we keep this question towards the end? Maybe I'll think over the course of the interview and I'll narrate something at the end
definitely.
of the story. Yeah.
Definitely. Next question is like, since the stories are from past,
Mm.
what would be the what is its cultural significance today, according to you?
There is so much wisdom in the Puranas that is so relevant even today and so futuristic. I mean, look at the way the Puranas celebrate women. Today we talk about gender parity, the need for equality between the genders. The Puranas
True.
celebrate that. The way the Devi or Shakti is celebrated in the Puranas, it's wonderful. I mean, like I said, the story of Swaha symbolizes exactly that. That all
Yes,
these alpha male gods might be all powerful, but there comes a time when they need survival, and the only one who can help them is the goddess. A
the
female
goddess.
is
Yes,
created so the female as the mothering agent, the goddess as the nurturing, mothering agent of the universe, that the way that is celebrated. I mean, when there is someone like a Mahishasur, it can only be Durga to kill him.
yes.
Or when there is a Rakta Bij, it can only be goddess Kali to kill him.
Kali.
So that
Yes,
I think is very important. Even the stories of Sangya and Tara, I mean, they both abandon their husbands because they are not physically satisfied in their marriage. And the Puranas don't judge these women. It is the men who are judged. The men are told that
judged.
you were
Yes,
wrong, and they come and they apologize. So that kind of status that the women are given in the Puranas today, we really, I think, have taken a back step. So we need to realize that
true.
that is so important and so relevant even today. Also, the concept of plurality that the Puranas celebrate. Like I said, we have 36 Puranas. So every Purana has a different version of every story, which means that every narrative is a part of the Purana. Every narrative is
Yes,
embraced and every narrative is celebrated. Today, again, in the country, what is happening is we are being told that there is one grand narrative that we all must follow, and every other narrative is wrong. Look what the
wrong.
Puranas are
Yes,
telling us, that no, every narrative is to be included and celebrated. Because ultimately, when there is plurality, then we take forward. I mean,
true.
if you look at the concept of the Ardhanarishwara
Yes,
that I've spoken of at every platform, on a biological level, it talks about man and woman. But I see a more deeper meaning in that imagery. What I see is that if there is one narrative, there has to be a counter narrative. Only when both
yes,
the narratives come together can there be a third and a new narrative, and only then will we evolve. So every narrative must have an opposing narrative, and only then can there
true.
be evolution. So things like that the Puranas tell us it's amazing. There's just so much I can talk about that is so relevant even today,
Yes,
and we have forgotten all of that. I think we as a society, as a civilization, have taken a back step in terms of where we are heading. And if you see the kind of writing that the ancient texts have, it was so much more futuristic, so much more relevant even today. So that I think is something I really hope through Mahagatha some sort of
true.
understanding comes about in society
Comes
as
about.
to what we really that we need to change our mindsets, our thinking, and really take the way forward the way these ancient texts want us to do that. Yeah.
Yes, yes, definitely. And the Ardhanareshwar, I guess you have put it on here on the
Yeah.
cover
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. So
Yes.
it's
Exactly.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
beautiful cover. So
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
women, that reminds me your meet with our very beloved author Sudha Murthy ji. So what was her take on the book?
No. We did not get to talk too much about the book because she was in the middle of signing
Okay,
books. So we were
okay,
both signing books next to each other at the Bangalore Literature Festival, and we both seated
yes,
next to each other and signing books. And so I just got like a few seconds to chat to her while in between signing books. I had a few seconds. I gave her the copy of my book, and she also loved the cover, the way like you're describing it. She said it looks
yes,
really enchanting, and she said I'll definitely love to read this book. and find out. And she was very happy that someone who's writing about mythology, about Hindu mythology or Indian mythology,
Yes,
because our generation today really needs to discover these stories,
very
this
true.
literature that we have. So she was very happy about that. And that was just about it. I really hope I get to meet her again and ask her if she got a chance to read the book and what were her thoughts about it. I would love to have that conversation with her if
Yes,
possible.
yes, yes, that's true, that's true. Chalo, coming back to the question that we left, so one story that you would like to share with us, which is very near and dear to you, or which amazed you.
I think it would probably be, I think Satya Tapa's story is something I really loved reading. That was something, so it doesn't involve any major gods and goddesses. It is about a normal human being. Satya Tapa is a hermit,
Yes,
but the kind of wisdom that he gives at the end of the story, that I found very fascinating, which is why the story is there in the book. So I think that is one story. If you really, point a gun at my head and ask me what story do you really love out of all of those, I think that really comes to my mind as a very short but a very beautiful story. So Satya
yes,
Tapa, definitely I would recommend to all my readers. Do check that story out. It's a wonderful
yes,
story and
yes,
with a wonderful
definitely.
wisdom at the end of it. Yeah,
Very true. And as you said, short story. You have
yeah,
tried to put your stories ending in 2 pages or merely 2.5 or maximum 3, not more than that. Which
yeah.
is also an amazing thing because there's something you have put a hook magnet key. Okay, what's in the next story? What's
Yes,
in the
yes,
next story? It goes that way.
yeah.
So your
But
book
that is
is
also because,
amazing.
but that is also because these stories are actually linked to each other. And that,
Yes,
for me, that was also important that, so when you read this book, it may seem that there are 100 stories, but actually it is just one big story, which is why we are calling it Mahagatha. While there are
Mahagatha.
100 gathas,
Yes,
together they make one big Mahagatha. And that was also was something very fascinating to discover in the Puranas, that how the stories are all connected to each other. Everything is linked to each other. These are not
true.
random stories. These are not
Random
isolated events
stories.
in the
Yes.
universe. Everything is connected to each other through cause and effect. So everything is
Very
connected through
true.
karma and karma phal. So what you're reading
Yes,
is then a narrative. You're going on a journey across the four
yes,
yugas where every story is linked to each other. So by the time you come to the end of Kali Yuga, you have seen the entire picture of the Brahmanda, all the gods and goddesses. You have lived
yes,
the entire journey through them. So that for me was very fascinating. So I think that hook comes in the end of every chapter, so that
yes.
that links you to the next chapter. So I think that also makes the reading process very enjoyable, I believe. So I'm glad you picked up on that, because I
Yes.
love doing that actually also while writing those stories.
So Neha has a question from our audience that
Sure.
would you recommend teenagers to read the book? Will they be able to relate to the stories?
I would definitely, recommend that. In fact, a lot of the feedback that I'm getting are actually also from teenagers who are telling me that they have never really,
Wow.
they thought Puranas was something, old and ancient, and how do I access those? But through Mahagatha, they're able to now access the Puranas. I remember there was this very teenager from all the way from Canada who messaged me and told me that, I have never read the Puranas. I always thought it was something for the elders and it would be too complicated and too boring probably to enter that zone. But through Mahagatha, I have now
Exactly.
entered, and I'm fascinated by the kind of stories that we have. So I would really urge all teenagers to read Mahagatha, to find out about our own mythology, our own culture, our own
Culture.
history,
Yes.
and also the richness of Hindu writing, that is there. I think every mythology is so rich, whether it's Hindu or Islamic mythology or whether it's Christian mythology, every
Christian
mythology is
mythology.
rich.
Yes.
So we all need, and those really are our roots. So it's important to, know your roots. So read, and
Yes.
when you get that in a story form that is so easily accessible and enjoyable, I think you should give it a shot. I think you'll fall in love with mythology if you read Mahagatha. I really believe that.
I agree to that. It is awesome. It is awesome. Like the praise I am giving to the book, I somewhere feel it's बहुत कम है. It's very little. This
Yeah,
book
yeah,
deserves
yeah.
more. Every story, every layout of the entire book is so much nurtured very thoughtfully that
Yeah.
you don't feel that, as we talk, that the stories are separate. They are interlinked and it's
Yes.
beautifully
Yes.
interlinked.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes.
before going, one last question to you: that any other book into pipeline? What projects you have? What the readers or the viewers would get to see or read from your end?
You know, yeah. So I'm writing a book now based on the Mahabharata, which also
Okay.
Mahabharata is like my ultimate favorite book in the world. I think that book is really the greatest piece of literature ever written. So I've always loved and enjoyed reading the Mahabharata. So here is my take on Mahabharata. There is a different. So this is a different viewpoint that I'm trying to present through a particular version of the Mahabharata that exists in the world. It's a very lesser known version, but very fascinating the way it is so different from the version that we know, the Ved Vyas version that we are all,
Yes.
privy to. So I think this version would be very interesting also to find out because it has new characters, it has new settings, new storylines, new
Okay.
episodes, and new interactions between the characters. So I think that is something I think I'm having a lot of fun writing that one. I think that should be out next year. But also the problem is I'm also doing a web series which is also based on the Mahabharata. So because of that, the writing has taken a kind of a backseat. So I hope, but
Okay.
I can get that back on track very soon. And hopefully the book should be out by next year. And I would love to know your feedback. Then maybe we can have another live session again next year when that book comes out,
Definitely.
and you can tell me
Definitely.
how well I have written that.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, writing is no doubt coming from you. It would be fantastic only. But yes,
Thank you.
we would love to read what's next. What's in that box next for us?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hope so. I hope so. Because also
Yes.
when your book does well, you kind of set a bar for yourself, and then
Yes,
it's important that
exactly.
you match up to that. Otherwise, it could be a disappointment. So I'm not saying anything
True.
much at this stage. I just fingers crossed that the book at least matches up to Mahagatha. Then hopefully we'll have another good conversation next year.
Definitely, definitely. So again, thank you so much for your time, for joining us here, and we hope that you had a good time with us because we definitely
So
had it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Had a lot of fun despite technology
Yes.
creating all sorts of problems. I think we managed to, we kind of steered through all the five questions that you had. And
True.
I hope you had I hope the readers the audience had a good time as well. And I hope they do pick
Yes,
up Mahagatha and find out 100 stories are out there waiting to be discovered. And if you love
definitely.
mythology, if you love these wonderful stories, I think what Mahagatha will really do is make you connect the dots of Hindu mythology like never before. So do check out Mahagatha. And thank you so much to Kitabeclub for this wonderful, wonderful live. Lot of fun.
Thank
And
you.
like I said, hopefully we'll do another one next year very soon. Thank you.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a very
Thank you.
happy Mahashivratri.
Same to you. Same to you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Bye bye.
Yes. Bye bye. So, guys, that was our author, Satyat Nayak, today. I hope you all had fun. And this is Aditi signing out. Bye bye. Till we meet.